Previously on ImpTab Avatar, our knowledge-seeking heroes had just teamed up with a couple of new friends, Professor Che and Professor Quay, the professors of entomology and anthropology respectively at Ba Sing Se University, and they were following them into Ba Sing Se proper when they heard news of the upcoming Pai Sho Tournament and that the winner would be able to play Pai Sho versus King Jialun himself. Deciding that this was likely their best way to get an audience with the king, they decided that they would do some plotting about how they might get into that competition, and our party split ways for a little bit there. Je-Tsun and Professor Quay went up to Ba Sing Se University, which I probably should make a correction, is in the middle ring, not the upper ring. So you're only in the middle ring at the moment. You didn't quite make it to the upper ring yet. But while they were doing that, Ziah and Amar decided to go around the food district a little bit, see what they could find, get themselves some less conspicuous garb so that they wouldn't be as visible, and along the way ran into some Dai Li who they just barely managed to shake off, but not before they were spotted by a mysterious figure in the dark alleyways. While they were doing that, Je-Tsun was up at the library researching Pai Sho techniques so that he might improve his game, because apparently he had never won a game of Pai Sho in his life. So he did some reading, found a scroll written by Avatar Karuk, widely considered by many to be the best Pai Sho player in the history of the Avatarverse. And when his friends teamed back up with him, they decided to play some games and up his skill, leading to him gaining a +1 ongoing whenever he plays Pai Sho. Good job there. After leaving the library, they bought some disguises, they plotted, they decided what their cover story was going to be before they entered into the Pai Sho Tournament on the following day. How's the Pai Sho Tournament going to go? Let's find out here in the world of Avatar Legends. What's shaking, everybody? You're listening to ImpTab Avatar, the Avatar Legends actual play where we make up almost everything on the spot. I'm Ned Wilcock, your host and GM, and today I'm joined by...
Caleb Anderton, the lawnmower.
McKenna Steele, I'm very distracted by my cat.
And Christian Randall, I also love my cat.
She's my cat.
I mean, she's my cat.
We'll talk about it later.
Skipping over marital feuds for a moment here, we're going to pick up with you guys in your hotel room here in the middle ring of Ba Sing Se. It's a bright and early morning. The dews are just settling on all of the intricate gardens that you see around all of the noble people's houses and whatnot. There are little bees and butterflies flitting from dewy rose to rose, pollinating and spreading life. Presumably, Amar, since he's the one who's leading the squats, would be the one who is slamming the shutters open, letting the light flood into the place.
Up and at 'em! Wiki wiki! Let's go! We have a big day ahead of us!
Ziah, why do you sound like me when you wake up?
I'm not a morning person at all.
I thought that noise was Marmar.
I look over. Marmar's still pretty much asleep.
Marmar, get up! Remember, we have to work out those teeny legs of yours. Well, I mean, no need to be rude about it. I mean, whatever. We'll just do it another day.
Here, sleep in your pocket. Okay, let's go.
1 and 2 and 1. And with that, we do it.
Yes, we're just going to montage through the morning squats, because if we do this every episode, it's going to be interesting.
It's gonna be long.
You guys have not too long. You're supposed to meet up for the entrance to the Pai Sho Tournament in just a couple hours. Anything else that you want to do before you just head right on up to the tournament?
I need my prune juice in the morning, but I just need a little something to get me going.
With your juice in your stomach, you head over to kind of this open square where there are plenty of Pai Sho tables that have been set up. There are mobile canopies that have been put in place, kind of these tents almost, to shield the Pai Sho players from the sun overhead. And there's lots of vases and statuary that have been arranged in between all of the canopies to give it a very posh sort of vibe here, and they've even arranged urns with the various flowers that are represented on the Pai Sho tiles scattered throughout the place. And you see that there is a queue forming up on kind of the far side. There's an elevated platform with a fancy chair or two on top, and just in front of that platform there are some officials who are taking down information, getting everybody registered into the tournament bracket and whatnot.
All right. Maybe we shouldn't all group together to avoid suspicion. I'll go first since I'm old. Bye. And I'm going to shuffle and click away. I'm very excited, so I'm like kind of quickly shuffling off.
Hey, Ziah. I realized we did not think of a fake name for you. I think you should go by Taya.
Okay.
It just came to me. I do not know where it is from.
Okay. I like it. It's easy enough.
Yeah, and nobody knows me here, so I'll just be Amar.
I think that's perfect.
All right, so you guys head over to the registration tables, and they have an initial elimination round to make sure that it's only the best people who make it into the tournament itself, into the bracketed system. So they have a bunch of people who are kind of the test Pai Sho players to weed out some of the least skilled people. And you notice that most of them appear to be students at the university, some of the younger children, but they do appear to be very precocious. So each of you is pit against one of these children here, and I'm going to have each of you roll to rely on your skills and training to see if you can beat this 5th grader and make it into the tournament.
Oh, I rolled double ones.
Wow.
No.
Oh, no.
Oh.
What's your total?
Mine?
Amar.
4?
Oh, my total is 7.
My total is 2.
Wow. So, so Je-Tsun, you do it imperfectly. You still succeed, but I get to tell you how that might lead to unexpected consequences. This child that you're playing against, you can see is very prideful. The kind of child whose parents are like always, yep, you got to get straight A's. You got to get 100% on all your tests. And the fact that you beat this child, the glare coming at you from beneath those furrowed brows is unlike you've seen in most other people.
I fear I have made an enemy for life.
Now, Amar and Ziah, because you are these kind of people, I will give you the opportunity to push your luck to try and cheat your way through if you would like.
Absolutely, I will. 11.
That's an 11 for me, too.
Oh my gosh.
There we go.
We tag teamed it. We looked at each other. We were like, hey, you got that tile I need. I got the tile you need. And we just sort of
We put our brains
over.
together. Together we make one complete Pai Sho player.
You guys are sharing the one brain cell between the both of you, so you pass it off.
So it costs you to scrape by. Here's the cost. Each time you try to cheat a game of Pai Sho further in the game, you're going to get a -1 ongoing. So currently, because you cheated this first time, you're going to get a -1 to every game. Next time you cheat, it's going to be a -2, etc., because it's going to be easier for people to catch on moving forward.
All right.
okay.
But because you each got a full success, I also tell you what other lucky opportunity is going to fall into your lap.
Yes, please.
Your personalities, your charisma as you are playing these games sways the audience in your favor.
So we got some crowd favorites here.
So yeah, that's a bit of the trade-off there. You have people who like you, who are going to be watching you, but the more people you have watching you, the more likely they're going to see you slip in one of those tiles when you're not supposed to.
Okay, I'm down. I can do it.
I really do not remember ever playing Pai Sho before this. This must be beginner's luck. Hey, Marukami, up and coming. Vote for me.
Oh, I'm really glad you two made it through. It looked a bit hairy there for you, but I'm glad that you pulled through in the end.
Well, I mean, I am a waterbender. It's just in my DNA.
What's DNA? Never mind, we don't have time for this.
So now that you guys have made it through this elimination bracket, as it were, you can now go up to the registration table proper, get your name taken down, and get placed into the tournament bracket. So you're in the line, you're moving along, and you see all these other, most of them very fancy, very upper class kind of people of all ages, some of them young children who are very precocious, all the way up to grandparents who have been playing for their entire lives and everybody in between. And you finally make it up to the person who's going to be taking your names down and looks up first at Je-Tsun and says, "Name?"
Ling!
Ling, very good. Turns to Amar, "Name?"
Hey, Marukami.
Amar Ukami, very good. Turns to Ziah, "Name?"
You can just put down Miss Taya with a T.
Taya. Oh, what a coincidence. The Earth King is not going to be here today to oversee the proceedings. He's busy in the upper ring, but he sent a representative by the name of Taya. In fact, her caravan is just arriving.
Wow, that's just crazy. It must be just a really popular name nowadays. That's so insane.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
One of those moments when you wish a podcast could be a visual medium. The look on everybody's faces.
No.
I think I'm mostly interested to see Ned be. That's my favorite.
Yes, you see a rickshaw come in, one of those little two-wheeled covered chairs that somebody pulls behind them, and there's this person wearing kind of nicer servant's clothes pulling this rickshaw behind them, and there are a couple other people walking alongside keeping pace. As they come into right in front of that elevated platform, all of the nobles kind of quiet down as they recognize the representative of the Earth King. The curtains open up and this figure begins walking out, and one of the guards who's been running alongside says, "Everyone, Earth King Jialun's representative for this tournament, Taya, official of the Dai Li." And she steps out. Amar, would you like to try and unearth a memory?
Yeah. What could go wrong?
Of the Dai Li?
Yeah, go ahead and roll with focus.
Yeah, no problem. That's a 1 and a 3, so that's a total of 6.
Ooh boy. On a miss, the memory fails to surface as the strain overtakes you, inflicting 2 fatigue or 1 condition,
Whoa.
but failing to unearth the memory.
Oh boy.
Would you like to take the fatigue or the condition?
Oh gosh. Give me a condition.
How does Amar feel as he looks up and sees this face? It's a face that he feels like he should recognize, but can't quite wrap his head around.
Amar feels troubled.
All right, so go ahead and mark that on your character sheet. You see a number of the nobles around you don't fully prostrate themselves on the ground, but they all bow their heads in deference to Taya, and she gives a little smile and begins walking towards the registration tables, towards, in fact, the one that you are standing in front of.
Me?
Yes, all 3 of you.
All right. I'm just standing there with a derpy smile on my face.
She goes up to the individual who's been taking your names down, and this person is completely prostrating himself on the ground. And she says, "I'm glad to see that we are getting some interesting characters here at the tournament. Could you put my name down as well?" And this official says, "Oh, yes, certainly. And writes Taya's name into the bracket. And she looks at all of you and gives a little smile.
I don't mean to be a bother. I just happen to be a big fan of bureaucracy. How are you going to differentiate between my friend Taya and your friend Taya?
Taya looks over at Ziah and gives a quick once-over with the eyes and says, "I don't think we need to worry too much about how we differentiate."
Oh, sorry. I just get all wrapped up in paperwork and I get so excited.
I'm gonna also give her a quick up and down.
Well, I think it's really wonderful that you are also playing. That way we could at least feel like even if none of us make it to playing with the Earth King, then we at least feel like we have a chance to play amongst his representative.
Oh, yes, of course, but I would be so pleased if any number of you were to speak to the Earth King. He is a wonderful man.
What is the Avatar Legends equivalent of?
An insight check?
That is the word.
So you wanted
Thank
to do it? You want to do an insight check somehow?
Well, there are certain moves for certain playbooks that allow you to do such a thing. The Razor, in fact, has such a move. I'm a people person, where when you watch someone interact with another person, you can roll with focus, and then you get to ask questions like, are you lying right now? What are you most afraid of? How are you vulnerable to me, etc.? The Idealist, unfortunately, does not have such a move. You could always, though, attempt to assess a situation.
Yeah. I'll leave it for now. And I'm just gonna kind of...
Yes, I've heard just absolutely wonderful things about our great king.
And then I'll humbly bow.
Yeah, I feel like I wouldn't let her walk by without saying anything, so I'd just say, hey, good luck out there. Everybody's eyes are on you, so you might need it.
And she looks back towards you and she says, well, the further you get up into the rings of Ba Sing Se, the more people's eyes are on you at all times. You just get used to it.
Why am I sweating?
Now can I pull out my people person move?
Indeed. Go ahead and roll with focus.
Oh, that's a 3 and a 2 for a total of 7.
Hey.
7
work.
is a partial success. So you get to ask one of the following questions. And those questions are you lying right now? What are you most afraid of? How are you vulnerable to me? Or how can I get you to mark the condition blank?
I'm going to choose how are you vulnerable to me, but if I can, in roleplay, I'd like to, flavor it a little so it's not just a blatant question. That is true, but I feel that the more eyes are on you, the more likely you are to slip up. You can do something 1,000 times when nobody is watching, but the second people are watching, you cannot do it anymore. Do you know what I mean?
As she picks up on the subtext underneath your words, realizing that you're not just making small talk, realizing that there's some kind of recognition in your mind towards her, you see just this quick flash in her eyes as you notice that she is a little bit troubled by the fact that you do in fact recognize her.
All right.
Interesting.
Got a troubled gal.
Yeah, we do. -2 on skills and training.
Look at you with your rule knowledge.
Sometimes I obey them.
But yeah, in response to that, Taya says, yes, you can try something 1,000 times and eventually you're going to mess up. Eventually you're going to do something wrong and it's going to cost you everything.
Sorry, sounds like you've had a rough time lately. It's okay. You're gonna be fine. Go get him. Play some Pai Sho.
And you're going to be fine as well. And she gives you a little nod and walks off further into the crowd.
She seemed nice.
I lean over to Amar and I say, are you firebending or is it just really warm out here? I'm so sweaty. I need to go sit down.
I mean, she's ripped.
She must do squats all the time.
I hate her, but she's ripped. But I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I really want to kick her butt at this game of Pai Sho, and I don't love her.
She seems very keen. I wouldn't recommend doing any of your tomfoolery or shenanigans or whatsoever you do.
I don't know what you could be talking about, but she is part of the Dai Li, and
A very valid point.
I think that is something. As we are playing through, I want us all to just keep an extra eye on. We know there's something tricky with them anyways.
I will keep 2 eyes as often as I can spare them.
Just be very careful, okay? And I'm gonna go off and head towards my designated table. And just gonna go sit and meditate for a second. We didn't recognize her, like we wouldn't have seen her at the lake or anything.
Yeah, the two of you did not notice her. In fact, she was notably absent from Bossing Se on the day that Lobsang got kidnapped by the Dai Li because she was raiding the library. So you all go to your designated Pai Sho tables, and each of you are seated across from various individuals. These aren't necessarily individuals of too much repute or renown, so for this first round, we can just have each of you rely on your skills and training to see if you succeed.
I would like to already try and push my luck.
All right, what did you roll?
A 4.
It's not great.
I am at a 7.
I'm gonna push my luck. 5 and a 4 minus 1, but my passion is a 1, so it's just a 9.
9, all right. That's a partial success as well. And then Je-Tsun, how did you do?
Last time I forgot to add my ongoing +1, but this time I did not, so that is an 8.
All right, 3 partial successes.
Stressful.
I can feel the tension in the room.
So you all managed to make it through, we'll say, the first couple rounds of this Pai Sho tournament. There's a lot of people here. Now, eventually, we're starting to get to some of the more upper crust kind of people that you're playing against. They've each won a couple games, you've each won a couple games. So at this point, if we'd like to pull out the Pai Sho custom move from the core book to try and glean some information from these people, we may.
Oh, yeah.
I think that would be very helpful, as I would get a +4, I believe, with that move.
Get a +4?
baby.
Because my harmony's at a 3, and I get the ongoing +1.
What's my harmony?
2.
Still good.
It negates your -2.
Yay!
My harmony is at a 0.
Okay, here's how this move works. When you study an NPC opponent during a game of Pai Sho, roll with Harmony. On a 10+, you hold 3. On a 7 to 9, you hold 1. And while you're playing the game, you can spend this hold 1 for 1 for one of the following options. And there are 3 options. If you get a 10+, you get to choose all 3 of them. Partial success, just 1. The options are: you exchange banter over simple plays. You ask them a question about what's on their mind. They must answer honestly or mark 1 fatigue. Then they ask you a question, and you must answer honestly or mark 1 fatigue as before. Second option, ask a leading question and lay a trap for them in the game. Their response to your guile reveals something about their personality or reveals their principle. And then the final one, you pressure them with words and make an aggressive play. If you know their principle, you can mark 1 fatigue to shift their balance away from center by questioning or challenging their beliefs or perspective.
That's a lot.
Oh, this is kind of like combat. I like it.
Can I opt to not use that because I'm better off rolling the other way?
Yeah, you can still just rely on your skills and training if you would like.
Okay.
I'm so stressed.
I know, we're not even actually playing Pai Sho or anything. We're just rolling to see if we can get a high enough number.
It's more stressful.
I know, and that's the thing. That doesn't even take skill. It's just pure luck.
The odds are in my favor. With a +4 to all of my rolls, it's likely that I will at least get a partial success on most of these. Yeah, the only way for me to fully fail is if I roll 2 1s.
Odds of that are pretty low.
And I've already done it.
Now that each of you is seated against a more high-profile kind of opponent, we'll start with Amar, because you're not going to be trying to really glean information. Go ahead and just roll to rely on your skills and training and see how you do.
That's a 10 on the dice, +2 for focus, -2 for troubled, -1 for cheating. So that's a 9.
All right,
Nice.
so that is another partial success.
Guys, I'm not a math person at all.
So many numbers.
All right, so since you're not trying to glean information, we'll say that your partial success, that's enough for you to move on to the next round. But man, I should be giving you at least some consequence for each partial success. I'm just going to say 1 fatigue for each partial success.
Woof. Oh, okay. It definitely would be much worse if I were trying to get information, right? Because then I would be rolling with harmony,
Which is a 0
which is a 0.
for you.
I'd still be at a 7, so the result would be the same.
Well, you wouldn't be at a 7, you'd only be at a 9 because you're rolling with harmony, which is a 0, so you're only taking that -1, and you're not taking the -2 from being troubled.
It's not relying on your skills and training.
So you don't take that -2.
You would be rolling to study an NPC opponent during a game of Pai Sho.
Okay.
Either way, at this point, you're rolling a -1, whether you do the custom one or relying on your skills and training.
That's a good spot to be in.
In that case, I am going to try to get some information. That is a 10 on the dice, -1 for cheating.
All right, bringing you
To a 9.
To a 9, that's a partial success. So you get to choose one of the 3 options that we discussed earlier.
I'll go with the first one, exchange banter over simple plays, and ask them a question about what's on their mind.
All right. What would you like to ask? This individual that you're speaking to appears to be a fairly timid man with a furrowed brow. It doesn't look like he's actively furrowing his brow. It looks like it's just creased that way over years of stress and worry. Maybe he's a high-profile merchant, or maybe he's some kind of official who has just a lot of stuff to worry about in the city.
Hey, my friend, do not worry. I'm kind of a nobody here. You do not have to look so stressed. I mean, calm down. It's just a game of Pai Sho. What's on your mind, my friend?
All right. He could mark 1 fatigue, but I'm not going to because that's boring. As you ask him this question, he looks over at Taya, who's a few tables over, and peers around, and you notice there's a few other Dai Li agents who are kind of patrolling the place. You know, they are the king's private guard, essentially. So they want to make sure that the king's tournament is all going well. And this man leans in close as if he's like examining the tiles on the board. He's not actually looking up at you as he says this. And he says, "Well, my neighbors recently, they went missing for a little bit of time, and when they came back, they were acting strangely. They said they'd just been on vacation. They said that they were out boating at Lake Laogai. I don't think that's entirely true." He glances over again really quickly at Taya, and he says, "They spoke out against some of Earth King Jialun's more xenophobic ordinances that he's passed lately, and I think the Dai Li did something to them."
As I continue moving pieces and playing this game with him back and forth, "That's a pretty serious accusation." And I'm saying this very quietly so that only he can hear.
"It is strange as well, though. I mean, the Dai Li have been kind of sketchy for a while. They always make me a little bit uncomfortable, but I've never heard of anybody disappearing and then suddenly acting different."
You know, I have some friends. If you know something that might help them to put a stop to this. You can trust me.
Now he gets to ask you a question. He does make eye contact with you at this point, and he says, well, what dog do you have in this fight?
And I'll just look him in the eyes and tell him they also took my friend.
And he, again, casts his eyes down towards the board, and he says, my name is Ryan Tsungi. I think if we team up, it might be mutually beneficial.
Noted, Rayon. Where can I find you?
You can find me at the Tsungi Emporium. It's a music store.
Very good. Hey, Yahtzee!
Ah, yes. The famous Yahtzee move. The finisher of Pai Sho.
Yeah, I think at this point, now that you've kind of got the information that you want from him, let's have you roll to rely on your skills and training to see who actually wins this match.
Oh.
Okay, back to rely on skills and training. Ugh, that's a 4.
Do you want to cheat?
Oh, I could. Heck, I'm gonna do it. Risk it for the biscuit. I'm cheating.
All right.
The biscuit.
The biscuit's gonna burn.
So now I am pushing my luck, so I'm rolling with passion. But I don't have the minuses anymore. I just have a solid -1, correct?
Correct.
That's an 8.
Partial success. All right. So we'll give you 1 fatigue. You just barely managed to scrape by. And as you finish, he looks up. You've finished creating your harmonies within the garden of the Pai Sho table. And he looks at you with admiration in his eyes and says, perhaps you are a more apt ally than I initially thought. And he reaches out and gives you a little handshake. And then heads over to claim his consolation prize.
Oh, good. As long as I get something.
All right.
He goes over to the table, and there's a bunch of just random stuff on there. And he picks up a stuffed platypus bear, and a child comes running up to him, and he hands it to the child, and the child hugs it, and then hugs her father, and they go walking off together.
That's adorable. All right, we're going to meet him later.
Ryan Tsungi.
Perhaps the inventor of the Tsungi horn?
Perhaps indeed. Christian, McKenna, who wants to go next?
I don't know. I can't decide if I want to go next or if I don't.
I know.
I want to go next.
Okay, you can go next.
I want to go next.
This is ending up being a lot more stressful than I was expecting.
I'm literally sweating over here, guys.
I am so stressed.
Well, because if all 3 of us fail, that's it.
Yeah.
Am I rolling with -2?
Yeah, you're still rolling with -2 because you cheated twice. Amar also is going to be rolling with -2 moving forward.
Yes.
It's a 5.
Do you want to cheat?
Well, I was rolling to ask questions. Would that just automatically go to rely on skills and training?
Yeah, I'll say since you failed with your harmony roll, like you're trying to make conversation with this person, and it's this very shy child, and she's got her hair up in like 2 little buns on top of her head, kind of the space buns look.
Oh, yeah.
And you're trying to chat with her and trying to make conversation, but she is just very intimidated by you.
Because I'm cool.
It looks like she's not entirely sure she wants to be here, but you can see her parents off to the side just giving her these big thumbs up and grins. So she's doing her best, but she's not super interested in chatting, unfortunately.
Okay, so now rely on my skills and training?
Yep. See which one wins.
We're gonna push my luck.
Oh my god.
Ooh, cheating
For
again.
the 3rd time.
I rolled a 2.
All right. So this little girl, she glances over to her parents again, and you take that moment to try and slide one of the tiles, but it kind of catches on one of the engravings on the board, and she hears the little click. She looks down and notices it, and she looks up at you with her eyes wide, and she leans in close to you, and she says, "If you throw the match right now, I won't tell the Dai
Whoa, this is like 1984.
This girl's here to win. She may not want to play, but she's here to win.
I'm gonna lean in and I'll say, how about if I throw the match right now? You don't tell the Dai, I give you a gold. And you tell me what you know about the Dai.
She looks over at her parents and looks back towards you and says, "That's an entire month's worth of allowance.
I could make it too. You seem like a smart girl.
Let's see the money."
I want Marmar to like come out of my jacket and just be holding up like 2 gold coins in either hand. Just kind of like, you said show the money, yeah?
She looks at Marmar and she's like, "Don't make a show." And Marmar just shoves the gold into his mouth. So he's got 1 coin in each cheek. And she holds out her hand. She's like, your hamster is so cute. And Marmar climbs up onto her hand and she scratches his head as he spits the gold out into her hand. And then he climbs back over to you and she says, I've been watching the Daily around campus. They don't think us kids are observant, but we see more than they think they do. Now, it's not exactly a secret that the Daily isn't necessarily the shining organization of justice that they once were. I've noticed them hanging around Lake Laogai a bit more than often lately. There's that maximum security prison underneath Lake Laogai. I think they're repurposing it for their own uses.
Repurposing it? Are they not taking as many prisoners there anymore?
Who knows what they're doing with them? And her eyes are just super wide at this point.
You have been absolutely wonderful. All right, well, I think if I just put this one right here, oh, well, would you look at that? That is not what I meant to do. Congratulations, you won. I'm so sorry I made such a fool of myself.
Yep, she smiles and places her final tile to complete her harmonies, and she runs over to her parents who are clapping and smiling, and her dad lifts her up into the air and embraces her, and she looks back at you over her dad's shoulder, and she just gives you a really slow wink.
I'll just give her a slight nod, and then for the remainder, I would like to kind of be just walking around the general area, trying to pick up on anything like with the Dai Li, or with just honestly whatever I can gather, keeping an eye on things, trying to hear things, general spy stuff.
All right. We'll finish up the current bracket. We'll let Je-Tsun roll, and then we'll give you a chance to assess the situation.
I would like to do the new Pai Sho thing.
All right, yeah, you sit down at your table, and there is kind of an aged woman who's sitting on the other side. She's got a parasol in one hand, and her hair is tied up all fancy-like, and she's just kind of examining a little scroll that she's got in her hand when you arrive, and she kind of casually glances up and looks back at her scroll and then gives a double take, and she says, "Well, hello there, handsome."
Oh, well, if it's not too forward, you look quite fetching under that parasol.
You look quite fetching in that hat.
Oh, well, thank you. I was worried it would make my ears stand out.
You say that like it's a bad thing. And she fans herself with the scroll.
Oh, I'm gonna be so distracted during this game.
I hate how much I love this.
Although she may be distracting, well, this may actually help me. I'm going to try and ask her these questions after my roll. Let's see what I can get.
Roll to study an NPC opponent during a game of Pai Sho.
That is a 14.
Wow.
Shut your mouth.
That's very, very good. That's really good, in fact. You get to choose all three of these, the order in which I will let be up to you.
So I will begin setting my tiles. It is lucky that I am able to play across such a beautiful flower as I lay my tiles. What brings you here to the competition today?
All right, so is this your leading question, or is this question about what's on their mind?
More just a general what's on their mind.
Well, my husband and I used to play Pai Sho all the time, but goodness, ever since he passed away, it's been so terribly lonely.
Your sentence was a journey for me. I feel as if it might be too forward for me to say that I am not too sorry for your loss.
Wow.
That's terrible. Now I hope you die before me so no other person has to ever hear that out of your mouth.
So now she gets to ask you a question, and you must answer honestly or mark 1 fatigue. And she says, "Oh, why is that?"
Oh no! I'm gonna answer honestly. I'm not gonna mark that fatigue. I'm gonna look around a little conspiratorially and lift my hat up a little bit so she can see my airbender tattoos. She's an attractive woman. I'm going to make mistakes. Don't give me that look.
Yeah, she puts her hand over her mouth and she says, "Oh, goodness, I'm sorry. If I'd known you were a monk, I wouldn't. Let's play our game."
A former monk. I have, perhaps, I may be saying too much, but I may have led a life a little too dangerous for my monastic upbringing, so perhaps somewhat of a bad, dangerous person, a little mysterious. Is this working? I hope this is working.
And she is continuing to fan herself with that scroll even more. She says, Oh, a life of scandal, you say?
You may say that I've lived a scandalous life. I have a checkered past, I say, giving her a wink as I set down another Pai Sho piece. Speaking of scandals, the Earth King is absent today, and the Dai Li presence seems a little bit more prevalent than the last time I was in Ba Sing Se. That seems a bit curious. My leading question.
She lays down a Pai Sho towel and she responds, "Ah, yes, the Dai Li and King Jialun. Now, you see, King Jialun, he puts up a bit of a foppish front, but he is as wry and sneaky as a fox, that man."
And at that point, when she says that, I activate the trap that I had laid to her when I asked the question. Hopefully revealing either the principal or something about their personality.
So her principal, as she continues to talk to you, she says, "Some might wonder why it would be beneficial to present oneself as a fool, especially when in such a position of high power. But what a better way to disarm your opponents, would you not agree? King Jialun pretends to be a simpleton, so that nobody expects anything great of him, and then he strikes at the last moment." And you get a sense that her principle is insurrection.
Wow.
That's a principle?
NPCs can have any principle.
I want that principle. That's the principle I want.
And then, as I am continuing to play, I will now say, I think that perhaps your wisdom is boundless. And I will make my aggressive play at that moment. And I'm going to shift her balance towards insurrection as I say, I happen to be here with a specialized crew, you might say. We've noticed some unfortunate happenings around Lake Laogai with the Dai Li. We could use someone with your wiles to assist us as we dig a little deeper and find out what exactly is going on beneath the waters of Lake Laogai.
She raises a single eyebrow and says, "A life of scandal indeed."
And I begin airbending a little bit as I fan myself to cool myself down. This game's getting a little heated. So I've made my aggressive move near the end of the game, and I say, if you would like to discuss this further, where might I find you? And who might I ask for? Is there a lovely name to go with your lovely face?
And she nods in the direction of a tea parlor that's actually just on the square here, and she says, "My name is Hu Li."
Hu Li, who makes tea? Well, that sounds very promising. I'll make sure to drop by and apologize for beating you so soundly at Pai Sho. And I'll make my final moves here.
All right.
Do I get any sort of advantage for succeeding with the original one?
I will say, because your RP has been so on point during this whole situation, I'm going to give you the prepared status. So you can clear prepared to take a +1 to an appropriate roll after the roll or avoid marking a condition. So go ahead and roll to rely on your skills and training.
Oh, okay. I will take that +1 now and make it a 10.
Oh, baby,
Nice.
full success.
Yep, that's
Way
what
to
it took.
be.
That's what it took, was that last one.
She looks down as you place your final tile, having completed all your harmonies across the board, and she gives a little smile even though she's been beaten. She says, "Well, yes, please do come and find me. I am not afraid to spill tea." And she spins her parasol a little bit, and she goes walking off to claim her consolation prize.
I want to be her when I grow up. That was amazing.
I'm gonna fan myself a little harder and do a little bit of airbender breathing to get myself ready for the next game, because that was rough.
Indeed. So we're gonna go with kind of the between exchanges sort of situation where now you all have an opportunity to blow off a little bit of steam, do anything you'd like before you move into the next bracket.
May I assess my situation?
Yes, go ahead and assess the situation.
Ooh, it's an 8.
Okay, so you get to ask one of the following questions. What here can I use to blank? Who or what is the biggest threat? What should I be on the lookout for? What's my best way in, out, or through? Who or what is in the greatest danger?
What should I be on the lookout for?
You are keeping an especially close eye on the Dai Li, kind of keeping your distance. You're trying to be as inconspicuous as possible, but You notice after observing several rounds of the Dai Li, watching their patterns, see who they're looking at. Yes, they're kind of keeping a general eye over the entire crowd, but they are much more frequently looking at the three of you than anybody else here at the tournament. Not just Amar, all three of you.
They know, but they don't know that we know that they know.
But we know.
Flashback to spooky people looking at you from the darkness.
All right, I'm just gonna go make my way over to the little tea stand, grab a tea, whatever's cheap. I'm not really gonna actually drink it. Walk over to Je-Tsun and say, I saw your game. It looked like you were doing really well. You seem to know Pai Sho super well.
It was invigorating. Oh, thank you. Is that tea for me?
Oh, sure, sir. Yeah, you know what? You played a really good game. You can have some tea. And as I hand it to you, I'm going to, in a very low whisper and try and not move my mouth at all, say, Je-Tsun, the Dai Li are very, very aware of us right now. We need to be very careful moving forward because they don't seem to give a hoot about anybody else. But the three of us, it's not feeling good.
I take a sip of the tea and I kind of give you a look. This tea tastes very cheap. What? And I kind of stick a finger in, at my pinky in my ear and kind of clear it out a little bit. I'm not very good at hearing, but I think I caught most of that.
Well, I mean, it's my favorite tea. I didn't buy your favorite tea because I don't know what your favorite tea is. I'm so sorry, but I suppose you can just finish it if you want. And then I'm going to give you a nod and walk away.
No tea goes wasted on my watch.
And then I'm going to go over to, what are you doing right now, Amar?
Yeah, I'm still at the table by where I just had my game with Rian Sungi.
I'm going to walk over past the table and kind of cause myself to make it look like I'm stumbling over my own feet because I'm so klutzy and fall down and be like, oof, ow, that hurt, and kind of kneel and brush while I'm trying to brush off all the dirt. I'm gonna
Are you okay?
whisper,
Here, let me help you up.
oh yeah, I'm fine, you're so kind, thank you so much. The Dai Li are watching us very closely. You better not mess this up because the three of us, we make one wrong move and actually maybe we do make a wrong move and then we go take a visit to Lao Gai. Not by our choice, but it's what we want, isn't it?
Sounds like a win-win situation.
I take it back. I guess let's see how lucky we can get then.
Give her a little wink and I got you.
Thank you. Yes, that's so kind of you. Yeah, I can make my way over to the medical office by myself. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I'll go make my way over to the medical tent and just have Marmar kind of bite my elbow or something.
So they got a medical tent at the Pai Sho Tournament because it's such a full contact sport.
It's a hot day outside. And there's lots of old people playing. Who knows what could happen?
That's a valid point.
We got people getting the vapors over here.
That's true.
Amar or Je-Tsun, was there anything else that you two wanted to do before moving on to the next bracket?
I wanted to try and figure out who, how the bracket's looking and working right now. How far away am I from seeing the Earth King or even his are we going to play the Earth King ever, or has it been sort of he's been replaced with this representative from the Dai Li, or that's just today's final boss is her, and then if we can beat her, we'll play the king tomorrow?
Yeah, so Taya is playing as just a normal competitor, and she's also working her way up the bracket pretty far. In fact, if you continue on your current course, you could be playing against Taya in the finals.
Ooh.
But even still, it's whoever wins here today is going to get to go to the upper ring to meet the king.
Okay, yeah, perfect. I just wanted to get a little clarity on that. Then I'm going to just close my eyes, do some meditation, try and remember what I read in the scroll yesterday about Pai Sho strategy.
All right.
I'm still troubled about Taya and not recognizing her when I feel like I should, and I'm going to keep my eyes on her.
All right. Yeah, you notice she beats her opponent surprisingly quickly. Just a complete trouncing, no small talk, just wins, gets up, grabs some tea to refresh herself, and then moves to the next table.
All right.
And so, as our competitors begin going to their next tables for the next bracket of our tournament, I think that is a good place for us to pick up next time.
Yeah.
I did not expect a Pai Sho tournament to be this long or this intense.
Yeah, I definitely thought this would be a very quick part of the episode and we'd move on. I am so stressed out.
I have been sweating for 30 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know. I have been so excited to start laying out all these little bits of the spider web, all the stuff that's going on here in Ba Sing Se, and just the reveal of Taya being a member of the Dai Li. I've been holding on to that for a while, and it came out a little earlier in the campaign than I initially thought it might, but you guys made a good choice by going to Ba Sing Se first.
Yeah. Oh, baby.
Well, thanks everybody for listening to ImpTab Avatar. We'll be back next time with more adventures in the world of Avatar Legends. If you want more, go ahead and subscribe, maybe even give us a review. We would be as happy as a young girl with 2 shiny new gold pieces if you would go ahead and give us a review on the podcatcher of your choice. We're also all over social media at Improv Tabletop, so if you'd like to connect with us, maybe you want to talk to McKenna about how much you love your cat and how much she loves her cat, then don't be afraid to reach out to us. Let's do a round of plugs. McKenna, would you like to take it this time around?
Yes, and I would like to begin it off with Christian. Ned said she is also my cat.
Ned said so.
I think our debate is over. You're welcome. You didn't have to lose embarrassingly. The first thing we would like to plug is very obviously, hello, our Fate campaigns. They are so super fun. We switch it up. It's a new campaign every month. It's all improv, all the time, on the spot, for your entertainment or for your just sheer confusion. Because they are pretty wackadoo sometimes. They are super fun. Check them out. Right now we are doing Miceborn. Dude, guys, it's so fun. It's becoming one of my favorites. Other options, if you want to check out, we also have a sister podcast called I Cast Fireball. Ned is involved. Caleb's involved. Other people that are in Improv Tabletop are involved, and it is a jolly good hootin' time over there. So go support them. They're all wonderful people putting out some good content too.
Yeehaw!
Second, and by second I mean third, I would like to plug book clubs. My friends and I have a little book club that we do. Right now we're reading Court of Thorns and Roses, and I'm actually quite enthralled with it. It's a very good book, and it's just a really good way to help keep yourself on top of reading and also to be able to spend time with people that you love. Definitely recommend starting a book club. It's fun, and the main character kind of reminds me of Hal from Howl's Moving Castle, which I am not upset by.
I definitely need to piggyback on that. I always heard about book clubs growing up, and I was like, oh, that's an urban legend. People don't actually have book clubs. But turns out when you have a book club, it's pretty great. My book club is reading No Mud, No Lotus by Thich Nhat Hanh right now, one of the preeminent Buddhist authors of our era. It's a lovely book. Very much recommend it, and very much recommend starting a book club.
And as you can see, your book club can cover anything from fairy smut to philosophy.
I noticed that McKenna is not denying it. Well, thanks for joining us here in the world of ImpTab Avatar 10,000 Things. I'm Ned Wilcock, your host and GM, and I've been joined by
Caleb Anderton playing Amar Ukami.
McKenna Steele playing Ziah.
And Christian Randall as Je-Tsun of the Library.
Much love and stuff, everybody. We'll catch you next time on ImpTab Avatar.